Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kings of Fantasy Football. I'm your co-host, Pablo, and here's my co-host.
Leo.
And on today's episode, we are going to discuss waiver wire pickups. So, um, week three just finished last night. So now we're moving on to week four. So we are going to focus on players that you should pick up on the waiver wire. So we're going to start with quarterbacks, and we're going based off of sleeper. So if you are in need of quarterback, um, the first quarterback that I'm going to mention is still only rostered in 39%, and he has Sam Darnold. These first 3 weeks, he's been playing really well. Beat the 2-0 Texans at home last week, uh, 4 touchdowns. So he, again, I don't know how he's still rostered in 39%. So that is my first pickup. What about you, Leo?
Oh, now you're a believer, huh? Now you're a believer in Darnold, huh?
Hey man, I've been if he was available, I would have picked him up in both my leagues. I'm even debating to see if I can trade for him. To be honest.
I know it's crazy. Um, but yeah, the first quarterback I'm gonna throw out there to pick up is Geno Smith. He lit up the Dolphins for 289 yards and a touchdown, and he has probably a possible shootout this week with the Lions. That game's at home, so that should be an interesting game right there. He's got some great weapons with DK Metcalf, uh, and Jigba and Lockett and Charbonnet coming out of the backfield. So and even Noah Fant finally decided to show up this week. So um, it should be a good matchup there.
Yeah, DK man, he's been having really long touchdowns like every week, so um, really surprised with that. I'm sure all the DK Metcalf owners are happy. But I agree, Geno Smith, second quarterback, is rostered in 56% of leagues, and that's going to be Aaron Rodgers. I think he got into his groove finally. I know that running game is helping them out a lot. You know, when you have two good running backs, it really opens up the passing game. He's rostered again in only 56% of leagues. This week he's playing Denver, who shocked everyone last week. But again, I think those two um, QBs are should be the ones that you're focusing on in the event that you need a quarterback. Who is your second pickup?
Well, I'm gonna throw out a name really quick because he's a little bit more higher rostered, and then I'll give you my next guy. Check to see if Caleb Williams is there. A lot of people dropped him because he had a rough start. Hopefully, he threw for 300. He's 66% rostered on sleeper. He had 363 yards passing, two touchdowns, and this week he's gonna play the Rams. So Purdy just lit him up, and he might do the same. My next guy that he's a 27% rostered. I think he's probably sealed the job. Hopefully going forward, and that's Justin Fields. He threw for 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he's gonna play Indy this week. That also been very vulnerable in the secondary, and he can make plays on the with his legs. So that's someone definitely to check out. I think, like I said, I think he sealed they're 3-0. I think it'll be foolish for them to switch to Wilson, even if even if he is healthy. But I would stay. I would you know go with him if you're desperate.
I agree. Even great coach Belichick said, they might have one of the best QBs. In Pittsburgh, like you said, 3-0, makes plays with his legs, so definitely like that. Before we move on to running backs, we have some questions. Brees and Flowers for Hill, Pollard, and Pickens. Um, even though you're getting Tyreek, um, with the uncertainty at the QB, and you didn't do well with Skylar Thompson last week, I think you're giving up too much. Even though Brees is going to get some carries taken away, but Flowers has been doing well, and then Pollard and Pickens to me aren't as um, high players as Brees and Flowers. It's a one running back to flex league. Leo is the question.
Okay. Yeah. So
That's
I
my
would
take.
yeah I would probably stick with the Brees and Flowers. Obviously, if there's like 2 3 weeks ago, we would have said jump on that other deal for Hill. But the thing is, you just saw first week. None of us know when Tua's coming back. So at minimum, it's gonna be 3 games. But honestly, we don't know. He needs to get clearance from doctors. And as you've seen the last couple of weeks, Hill hasn't been good. With since Tua's been gone. Potter's been Potter's been solid, but Ty J Spears is still there, and even though Potter had a couple nice games, TJ Ty J had an injury, but he is coming back. I think he had more touches last week, and Pickens, he's a good player, but Flowers is looking like um, Lamar Jackson's number one guy right now. Mark Andrews has been irrelevant last couple of weeks, and Brees is Brees. So I would stick with those guys.
So we'll kind of do these quick fire just so we can move on to running backs. Chris Godwin and Kamara for Amon-Ra and Aaron Jones, who wins. I think Godwin's been playing really well. Kamara had the big game against Dallas. Amon-Ra finally got a touchdown, and then Aaron Jones has been looking really good for his average draft position. It's kind of tough to say who wins, but I would just pick the Amon-Ra and Aaron Jones side. What about you?
On this one, I'm actually gonna go with Godwin and Kamara. Hey, Amon Ra, yeah, he's a stud. Like we all know, but Jamison Williams is coming on. Sam Laporta hasn't even come up yet. Hasn't had a good game yet, and that's coming. And but Chris Godwin, he's to me he's like a wide receiver one. He's been playing great. He's gonna be a solid for the rest of the year. And Kamara's been on fire, so I would stick with him. You know. So yeah,
Okay.
I would stick. I think those two win.
Um, Hold or pair Henry and Adams and trade them for Collins and Gibbs, or trade them for CD and ETN. Um, Adams has, I think he's been having the year that I thought he would. He was getting up there in age, even though Minshew's one of the top passing yard QBs, but they got exposed against Carolina. Collins is the number one as far as receiving yards. Gibbs is splitting carries, and then CD, didn't have a good game last week against the Ravens, and neither was ETN. Um, I honestly like the upside more of Collins and Gibbs, so um, if you wanna see if you
Yeah,
can get that trade done with Collins and Gibbs, what about you, Leo?
yeah. I'll try to get Collins and Gibbs as well. Something Jaguars haven't been too offensive lately. Even ETN, like I have him in a couple leagues, and he's hardly hasn't been doing much. Gibbs and Collins Collins has been Stroud's number one so far, and that should continue. And Gibbs has been great, so I will do. If you want to go for, I will go for those two. For sure.
All right, and again, quick fire these.
There you go for this.
Darnold Stroud
This is for
week
you.
4. Um, Stroud is playing at home against Jacksonville, who just got um, lit up by Josh Allen. Darnold just beat the Texans. Vikings are at Green Bay, which is a rivalry game. Just based off of that, and then if Love plays, I would go with Stroud. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
A-Chain, Pittman, and Andrews for Jacobs, Devontae Smith, and Kincaid. Although I know A-Chain didn't do well, and then Andrews has been non-existent. But Smith got hurt. Not sure if he's going to be out. Um, Kincaid finally had a good week. I know it's tempting. Um, if you're 0 and 3 and you need to shake things up, then I would do it. If you're 3 and 0 or 2 and 1, it's a little bit tougher. Um,
Yeah, I was just checking to the Devontae Smith injury. He did get hurt. He might miss. I think he might miss this upcoming game. So if you need a win, just keep that in mind. He's gonna be out. I do like the if everyone's healthy. I probably like the Jacob side. Pittman's been non-existent, and Andrews, he's been non-existent as well. So, but yeah, but just like I said, just keep an eye on Devontae Smith's injury because I know he got hurt. Kind of, he might be missed this game.
Josh Allen or Jaden Daniels this week. You have to stick with Josh Allen. He's been the number one QB for a reason. Before the season started, he's been living up to that. So even though they're facing Baltimore, let's still put him.
Yeah, it's tough to bench. I know Daniels has been phenomenal lately, but yeah, you gotta stick with Allen. He's look what uh Dak just did to them this past week. He threw for 379 yards. So yeah, they're vulnerable a little bit in the secondary.
Um, Fields or Cousins. Fields is proven why he deserves to be the starter. And they are playing. Hold on. Did they play? I see them on. Oh yeah, they play Indianapolis, who the
Yeah,
secondary has not been doing well, and then Cousins is playing the Saints rivalry game, division, even though they're at home. But just based off of the matchup, I would do Fields.
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Drop Waddle for Terry. I don't know if I would drop Waddle. If anything, maybe try and trade him.
if that's for Terry McLaurin, might think
Yeah,
about it. I'll
yeah,
think
but
about it.
dropping him.
Yeah, I will trade him though for sure. I'll try to pick up Terry and then trade Waddle for somebody else.
Yeah. So let's get to running backs real quick, and then we'll enter these last two. Um, so for running backs to look out on the waiver wire, number one guy for me, and we talked about him last week, was Braylon Allen of the Jets. Seeing him on Monday night, I feel for Brees Hall owners. Allen showed really good carries, and I think he's going to be continuing to be used. I don't know what percentage, if it's a 50-50, 60-40, but he was making the most out of his touches. Um, so rostered in 46% in sleeper. So that's my first running back. What you, Leo?
All right. Just before I go to the running backs, there's a couple deep guys in the quarterbacks. Andy Dalton, that he looked great. He had 7% rostered. He had 319, three touchdowns, and then the Skylar Thompson got hurt. So if you're in a deep super flex, Tyler Huntley, it looks like he might be he's gonna be a starter for the Dolphins, and he's got good weapons. So just keep that in mind. Just for deeper leaguers. The first running back to go for, um, check these couple guys to see if they're rostered because they're over 50% rostered. Is Chuba Hubbard. He has a great matchup this week, and also Cam Akers. He had even though he didn't do well, he did score a touchdown, and they did play against a tough Minnesota defense that they're probably like the number one defense right now in the league. So my first guy, that's under 50%, and I've been saying to grab him for a while, is Bucky Irving. he's steadily getting more of the timeshare between him and Rashad White, and that's only I think only going to continue. He's averaging I believe 6.2 yards per carry, and while Rashad White's like under 3, I think. So yeah, that I would go for
I
him.
listened to you and got him. I actually saw on Twitter that the head coach said that he's going to use him more. So
Yeah,
glad I listened. So before we get to the second one, just going to answer these two really quick. Garrett Wilson for George Kittle. I already have CD and Jamar. Um, I would just see if Kittle's injury is going to be lingering. Um, I like having depth at positions because you never know, especially with this season so far. If you're in dire need of a tight end, then I would think about it. Um, and then should I start Lamb? I think we'll have a good game Thursday. He is playing the Giants.
yeah, for sure,
Um,
as a without a doubt.
they're at Giants, so yeah, I mean, I would start him. So, sorry for the delay on those, but we just want to get to the running backs. Um, Now, the second running back, you kind of took the guy I was going to just mention, just Buck Irving, 45% of leagues.
Oh, I'm
And
so
again,
sorry.
the head coach said that he was going to start using him more. So that's my guy. Who's your second guy?
Uh, so I don't know if you guys have noticed, but DeAndre Swift has not been really looking very well for Chicago. So this running back, no, not even Khalil Herbert. I'm gonna go even though that's currently like the third stringer. That he's 6% rostered. Last week he had 62 total yards and 37% snap share. So that's Roshan Johnson. To me, out of the three backs, I think he's probably the most all-around best running back that they have because he's a great pass protector, can catch, and a good runner. So I would like if you're in a deeper league, he's gonna probably be hot in the waiver wire this week.
Yeah, I agree. I thought Swift would do really well in that offense. But Roshan, 7%. Um, so if you have some roster space or you need some depth at running back. So if we'll move on to receivers, I got some more questions. So from Jace, I'm trading Najee, Diggs, and Hawkinson for Hill, Eckler, and Bucky Irving. Um, I like that. I mean, you're getting two upside players in Irving and Eckler. They're still being used despite Brian Robinson doing good. Diggs, he has been used, but not as much as Collins. And you're getting Tyreek Hill, so I like that trade.
Yeah, I like it as well.
Um,
Just keep an eye on Eckler because I think Eckler got hurt. He might be in concussion protocol, so just keep that in mind.
I traded Kelsey and Tyreek for CD Lamb and Drake London. Um, Currently, yes, I think it's a good trade. Because we don't know when Tua is going to get back, but when Tua does get back, who knows? Especially if you needed wins, you need people to produce right now. Um, Rios, David, Dowdle for waiver wire pickup.
Yeah, he's one of my
That
guys.
that backfield is a mess right now. Dallas can't run the ball; they're one dimensional. Um, Long term, I think Dowdle's gonna, end up becoming the top running back in Dallas, but I think they're just a mess, so I don't know. I don't really know what's gonna happen with that team.
Yeah, I would
If it,
actually. Yeah, I'm sorry. If he's available, I would go after him. None of these other guys are available that we mentioned. Uh, Last week, he did get most of the touches. That the like Paulo said, the Cowboys is a little bit of a mess in the backfield, but at least last week it does look like they're finally coming to their senses, and hopefully they start giving Dotto the ball, and he's 48.6% roster. So yeah, I have a couple guys deeper too.
There you go. Yeah, if you want to mention some other running backs for me, like
Some deepers.
receivers.
Sure. So a little bit deeper leagues, 5.8% rostered. Emmanuel Wilson. He's with Green Bay. He had 85 total yards and a touchdown. He's been looking pretty good whenever he's been given the chance. Um, we need a Jordan Mason's insurance policy, which is Isaac Garendo, 5.6 rostered. You know, we all know whoever gets next crack usually does well in that offense. So doing there, and then a guy that's 0% rostered, and he's the new flavor of the week for Sean Payton, Tyler Batty, but he ran for 70 yards. So it's just like I said, a couple guys in the deep sleepers there.
Um, the other guy, I mean, I had him, but I dropped him. Jaleel, he scored last week.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to receiver. I think this is going to be everyone's top wide receiver pickup just because of the week he had. I don't expect him to, duplicate that, but until Debo comes back, it's going to be Jawan Jennings. I said it last week. The reason I got him was because of that offense, and I was right. And that actually won me my matchup this week. He's rostered in 46%, but again, just don't expect him to do that every week. Who's your receiver?
Yeah, he was number one on my list too, so definitely he's gonna be on number one on everyone's list this week. If he's available still. Yeah, and he's 43.1% rostered. So the next guy I'm gonna go with is Darnell Mooney. He's 42.8% rostered. Over the last couple of weeks, he's been averaging 18 fantasy points, PPR points per week, and he's looking to be one of the go-to guys for Kirk Cousins. So behind Drake. So if you need a receiver, a little lower, that might be available, he might be someone to look at.
All right. Yeah, I feel like, some of these players who we know, as far as name-wise, have gotten a little bit of a resurgence. Before we say our second receivers, and just asking DJ Moore for Terry and JD5. I'm not sure who JD5 is.
Is that Jaden Daniels? Maybe?
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting Jaden Daniels for DJ Moore, I
Yeah.
definitely would do that.
Yeah.
Just because Jim Moore has not been, the top receiver like we thought he would, especially with Keenan Allen being out. Trade away Pickens depends on who you can get. You can shop them around. Trade Pittman for either Najee Harris or Tony Pollard. If you need depth,
I'll,
at running back, maybe. Um,
I try to go for
that's my
Pollard
picks.
of the two. I believe Najee had his arm in a sling this past after the game, so I think and Pollard's been doing well. So if between the two
All right.
for me,
Now
put
the second wide receiver, uh, he's over 50%, but if he's available, Deontay Johnson, looks like with
yeah.
the quarterback change, it really helped him. Had over 100 yards, I think 25 plus fantasy points. Um, and if he's going to be Andy Dalton's target, then, you know, or if you need depth, go after Deontay. What about you, Leo?
My next guy is Aaron Rodgers' old best buddy, Alan Lazard. He's 39% rostered. He had the first week he had a touchdown with him, and I had like about 67 yards, and then this week he had 3 receptions, 48 yards, and another touchdown. So, I know Garrett Wilson's their number one, but it looks like he still throws Lazard's way. So, like in deeper leagues, he's a 39% rostered, so someone to look at there.
Um, Now this guy's under 50, so I guess we're gonna count him as a 2.5. Jalen Naylor of Minnesota, who scored in every week. Even though Justin Jefferson is number one there, they're still looking Naylor's way. Um, I'm kind of just be careful just because, those targets may go away once Addison is back, but I mean, he scored every week. So, um, you know, if you need touchdowns at the wide receiver position, I would go after Naylor. Do you have another guy before we look at these questions?
Sure. I got one guy, and then I'll throw some other, deeper guys there. So, next guy to look at is Demario Douglas. He's the so far looking like the slot guy, and with the Patriots. So I would, if you're looking for someone there, you can go for him. I was gonna say Adam Thielen, but I did find out earlier today that he got sent to the IR, so scratch that. But check to see if Xavier Leggett's there. Now with Dalton there, they're gonna need someone else to throw to. Another couple guys is Tutu Atwell with the Rams, and then also Jalen Tolbert. Those are guys that like deeper that are under 10% roster to take a look at.
All right. Question from Sertrium, Waddle, Tank, and Pacheco for Diggs. So you're saying you're giving up Waddle, Tank Dell, and Pacheco for Diggs? If that is the case, then I would say no. You're giving up way too much
Yeah,
to give up to get Diggs.
yeah, for sure.
All right. Moving on to tight ends.
On that,
Probably
on
going to
that,
be the number one.
I was gonna say
No, go
on that deal, try to see if you can get some more guys so that you could throw add there if you really want Diggs. That's something to keep them.
Yeah,
Ask for more.
you want to ask for more, definitely. So moving on to tight ends. He's probably going to be the number one pickup just because of the week that he had. Um, I'm sure if you already had him, you were waiting for this. Cole Kmet, 10 receptions, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Um, will he have that every week? Who knows? But it looks like trending upward for that offense. Um, so he's rostered in 48% of leagues. So that's the first tight end I would go after. Who's yours?
Well, yeah, he was not. He was my number one tight end to mention as well for sure. No, yeah, you had a great week, man. Everyone's been waiting for that. The next guy is Noah Fant. He's another guy I've been asking to hopefully finally show up. He did. It was against the the Dolphins. He had 6 receptions for 60 yards, and he's a 16.8% rostered. The tight end position this year has been brutal. Yeah, even the
Mhm.
guys that were drafted up high, like Kelsey, Andrews, they've Laporta. It's been rough for tight ends, so everyone's just trying to see what they can get points on. But yeah, like that's someone to look at in deeper leagues.
Yeah, there's some experts, do it for a living who are saying, maybe next year people just need to get rid of the tight end position and add and
Yeah.
do the flex instead. Just because of the year, some kickers are having more points than these tight ends. Next tight end that I would try and pick up, I had him, I dropped him, um, but I think he has a good matchup against Denver, and it's gonna be Tyler Conklin, the New York Jets. Looks like Aaron Rodgers was looking his way. Maybe it's the start of a, I guess, a security blanket for Aaron Rodgers, who's rostered in 15% of leagues. Who is your next tight end?
I had him as well, so that's fine. It's fine. But I'm gonna go with an oldie but a goodie. Zach Ertz. He's been Jaden Daniels one of go-to guys, and so far in the last couple of weeks he had 11.70 fantasy points one week and then 9.80 last night. So he's been averaging about 4 to 5 receptions. So like I said, mainly what you want out of your tight ends is to hopefully get you about 10 points. and Zach Ertz is filling the bill there so far.
My wife would disagree with you. She was expecting Ertz to do better. But I agree with you. He's at least getting targets and receptions, which
Yeah,
compared to other tight ends, um, leaps and bounds above. Like
yeah,
Mark Andrews getting 0 points again. He was only on the field, I think, for like 20% of the snaps, which is alarming.
yeah.
Um, Now for we say some other tight ends. Julian's asking, I give ETN, you get J.K. Dobbins and Singletary. I actually like that. Jacksonville 0-3.
Wow,
Um, and he hasn't had a breakout game yet. Dobbins has been good in um, the Chargers, and then Singletary's actually got touchdowns these last 2 weeks,
no,
so
he's
he's
been awesome.
fantasy relevant.
Yeah,
Um,
you should stop listening to us and go press accept on that button really quick. Get that check. Yeah, no. That's a for sure,
um,
man. Yeah, for sure. Jump on that quick. Like I said,
um,
Dobbins, he does have an injury history, but so far this year he's been a beast, man. And so is Singletary. So you're getting two starting running backs there that you can plug in there. So for sure, man, I will do it.
Luke was asking, would Olave and Singletary be worth Mixon and Henry? Um, Mixon, don't know if he's going to be out again. I mean, when he's healthy, he's done well, and Derrick Henry just tore up the Cowboys. Even though Olave finally got a touchdown, I think I like the Henry side more. What do you think?
Um, yeah, the I like they're both all players are good. They've been playing. Olave finally looks like he's coming out. If you're good if you have a little good depth at receiver and you can afford to let go Olave, yeah, you're gonna get Mixon and Henry. Mixon's been awesome. Just check his status. He was injured and he missed last week. Just to just to see how long you might be without him. Just check that. That's all. That's the only thing that to be alarmed about. But if he plays, him and Henry, like you got two starters there for sure. They could use.
Right. Now, do you have any other tight ends before we move on to defense?
The only one to look at, that hopefully we're gonna get a Jordan Love back, and if he does come back, Tucker Kraft with Green Bay. He had obviously he hasn't done much because he's not there, but he's the starting tight end there with Green Bay, and like I said, he's only 7% rostered. Like I said, this is more like a deeper league to grab.
All right. Moving on to defense. I mentioned this defense last week, how they did, how they're not rostered above 50 doesn't make sense to me. Um, I know people were probably scared of the matchup, but I started them and they gave me 18 points. That's Vikings. They're rostered in 12%, bro. 12% of leagues. Number one fantasy defense.
Yeah,
And they went up against, high-powered Texans offense and didn't even face them. So I'm locking them in as a starter until they stop doing well.
yeah, no, for sure. If they're available, which they should, like with that roster percentage, try and grab them for
Well,
sure because they've been uh the old Dolphins coach Flores is doing miracles over there as a defensive coordinator. So gotta give him props for that. That's what he does best. So my first defense to grab is the Chicago Bears. They've been doing well so far this season, and this week they're gonna play the Rams, and they're at home. So that's someone to grab as well.
all right, before we move on to second defense, Kyle's asking Trey Jonathan Taylor, Forze, and Pollard. If
Yeah,
you need a receiver and are stacked in running back, maybe, but Jonathan Taylor, he had a score last week. Um, and he's being utilized, um, how he should.
Yeah,
That's my take on that.
yeah, I like Taylor a lot, man. He's when he's on like he was last couple weeks. He's a bull, man. Like if you're stacked at running back and you can afford to lose him, yeah, Zay Flowers is okay. But for me personally, I'll probably keep Taylor though. 'Cause-
Um, Andrea's asking, is Joe Mixon playing this week? It's too early to tell. It's Tuesday. I haven't seen any reports just yet. So I'll just be on the lookout to see if he is gonna play. If he
yeah,
is, he has a good matchup against Jacksonville. Lil Keto's asking, who should I target for QB? Daniel Jones, Stafford, or Andy Dalton? Are you saying for like trade to pick up? Um, because Jones is still, fantasy relevant. Nevers had 2 touchdowns. I know Andy Dalton had 3 touchdowns and over 300 yards in his first start. Surprisingly, Stafford did well. I didn't think he would. Um, I think he got like 18 points. So if you're trading Jones for one of those two, um, for now, we'll just kind of see.
I think he's not trading Jones. I think he's just saying who should he target out of the three, like Daniel
Oh,
Jones, Matthew, or Andy. That's how I get it. That's how I read it. So out of those three,
I would just for now because Cup and Nakua are still out. I'll go with Dalton.
yeah.
Um, Josh Vikings again until they prove that they're not going to do well defensively. I would start them. Olave and Rashad White for Neighbors. Um, that's tough, man. No Neighbors finally broke out. Um,
Last
but
couple
who
weeks, yeah.
knows if that's gonna? I don't know if it's gonna be an every week type of thing. Uh, Chase and London for Lamb and Evans. I would I like the Chase side more. Um, he is being targeted as the wide receiver one, a Lamb, even though they um made it close. I mean, he's not being looked at as much as he should. And I think there's drama there. Um, if he finally bounces back Thursday, then maybe I would think about it some more. Um,
Yeah, you can
Keto
go.
again.
Yeah, you
Go
can't
ahead.
go wrong with any. Yeah, you can't go wrong with any of those receivers. They're all four are good. So if you have to lean one, I'd probably lean towards the Chase in London.
Keto's asking pick up. Currently have Purdy, but for bench depth. So we talked about it earlier. Sam Donald and Rogers are both, close to the 50%. So one of those two, Justin Fields. Those are pretty much the top three that we mentioned.
Yeah, yeah, check. Yeah, Caleb Williams, Rogers, Geno Smith, Darnold. Yeah, stuff like that. All depends how deep your league is.
William asking trade neighbors for Bijan PPR. I have Amral and Marv.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, if you have those two, you're getting a running back one, and you're trading with neighbors. So, like Leo
yeah.
said earlier, stop talking and hit accept.
Yeah, neighbors is good, but yeah, if you have those two receivers, yeah, it's and you need a running back, it's worth it. But yeah, neighbors is a beast, man. But yeah, I understand the trade though for sure if you need him.
Jonathan asking Debo unlikely for Goddard and Olave. Um, if you're 0-3 or 1-2 and you need people that are playing right now, I would do it just because don't know how long Debo's going to be out, and Goddard had a really good week. If Devontae's out, then more targets going to go to him. And Olave finally, um, had a touchdown, so I like it.
Yeah, Goddard blew up, yeah, for sure. Like I said, the Browns been out, and then Devontae Smith got out, so he got hurt. So he's like the next man up pretty much there. So just look at their how long they're gonna be out. To maybe that'll help you decide, but uh, probably the Goddard or Olave side.
I agree. Oliver asking, should I take CD and Pollard for Bijan, Chuba, and Wandale? Um, I mean, Chuba had a good game, but I mean, you're essentially giving up CD and Pollard for Bijan. If it's a PPR, I like the CD side more. If it's standard, then um, you know, the Bijan side wins to me.
Yeah, I agree. I like the CD and Pollard more. Chuba, he had a great game, but Jonathan Brooks might be coming back soon from his injury, and Wandale, he's a secondary receiver, third, so third, like a wide receiver 3 or 4. So, yeah, I will try to stick with CD and Pollard.
Cole's asking Dak and Zay Flowers for neighbors. Donald. Um, if it's a one QB league, I don't like getting rid of good QBs just because we don't know what could happen during the course of the season. So I kind of like to have some depth. Um, and then if it's two QB, then I would like to have Dak and Darnold. But
Yeah,
if it's if you're just needing a receiver, um, or you think Beaver's going to be better than Zay, um, which I don't think. I think Zay's the clear wide receiver one in Baltimore.
I would try to keep Dak and see if you could trade, someone else, with Zay, for neighbors, maybe. 'Cause like I said, yeah, once you get rid of a good quarterback, sometimes the picking are. I don't know how deep your league is and who's available. Um, you know, Darnold's been great, but he could turn into a pumpkin quick. So
Now, the one thing I will say, keep in
I hope
mind,
I hope
Darnold
I hope
is
not.
if Darnold is officially questionable because he did um, get hurt. I mean, he stayed in the game, but they might just list him as questionable already just because they're gonna let him rest. That's something to keep an eye on. And then
Yeah, he's got
James
a
asking,
knee bruise.
yeah,
That's it.
James asking thoughts on CD. People had him as the wide receiver one overall before the season started. I don't think he's lived up to that by any means. Um,
I will
so
stick
that,
with him. Just be a
I mean,
little
yeah,
just be a little. I'm sorry. Just be a little patient. Remember, he didn't he wasn't with the team the whole all of basically preseason training camp. So this first month is probably like his training camp. Try to get back timing with Dak and stuff like that, and he should start picking up soon. The thing is with the Cowboys, they don't have a strong second receiver, so they're gonna bracket a CD, and sometimes it's tough, but I that's happened before. So just be patient. He should be good.
all right. Thanks everyone for all the questions, gifts, um, tuning in on TikTok. That being said, Leo, you have anything else before we wrap things up?
Oh, well, thanks everyone for listening. It's been a pleasure to answer some questions for you guys, and hopefully we help you. This is we're here to guide you. Hopefully, to get you that win every week. If you have any other questions, you can reach me on X at smooth1074. I also do some I write some articles for Fighting Chance Fantasy at so I have a weekly start sit column, and then I also do like a preemptive strike article that some players to pick up right before the games happen on Sunday, so you can be ahead of your league mates and the waiver wire run next week. So yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks everyone. Posted his X tag in the TikTok chat. Um, thank you again, everyone. We're gonna pretty much be live twice a week on platforms. You can also listen to the podcast if you weren't able to tune in on the major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Um, so if you didn't catch us live, then again, feel free to listen to the podcast recording. That being said, again, thank you everyone, and we will see you guys later this week.
Peace.